What's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to hop on here just to talk about the situation in the lightweight division at the moment. See, there's a lot of reports coming out and a lot of back and forth between Khabib and Ilia Topuria. See, Topuria vacated the belt, you know, after beating Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski back-to-back KO wins. Wants to move up to lightweight, completely fair, vacates the title. Islam seemingly does not want this fight. He does not want to fight Ilia Topuria, at least not yet. Now, from Islam's perspective, this is very understandable, right? Because this dude, he wins the belt off Oliveira. His first two defenses have to be against the featherweight champion at the time, which was Volkanovski. So glad Volk's champ again. But, has to fight Volkanovski twice, has a really close fight the first time. Second fight, dominant knockout. Faces Poirier. And that fight was reasonably close up until, of course, the submission. And then has a fight booked against Arman Tsarukyan. And that falls out. Moicano steps in on a day's notice and gets submitted in the first round. The thing is, though, Moicano fought at featherweight. Poirier fought at featherweight. Volk was a featherweight champion. Oliveira fought at featherweight. From Islam's perspective, it would be he doesn't want to fight another featherweight. All these former featherweight guys on his resume. He doesn't want to fight former featherweight, which is understandable. But this is one of the biggest fights to make in 2025 in the UFC. A fight between Islam Makhachev, the pound-for-pound number one, and the former featherweight champion, Ilia Topuria. But this fight will not come to fruition, at least not yet, because apparently Islam is going to be waiting for the result of Muhammad versus JDM. And then he's going to make his move up a division. Now, if we have to miss out on this fight, simply because Islam waits for the welterweight title fight, let's say JDM wins. JDM wins, Islam moves up. I don't know if Islam vacates the belt. He's always talked about having that champ status. And I don't think he vacates. But then you have an odd situation where you have Topuria, who's moving up. You've got this big super fight that, is not getting put together. Now, I don't know. Islam, if he doesn't defend his lightweight title against Ilia Topuria the next time he defends it, who is he going to defend it against? Arman Tsarukyan had his opportunity taken from him. Dana said, fucking, you pull out, kid. You're not getting a title shot next, kid. You pulled out. Who do we have elsewhere? We have Charles Oliveira. He got a win over Michael Chandler, but that's aged very poorly, seeing as Chandler then got dominated by Paddy Pimblett. You have Gaethje, who just beat Fiziev in the rematch. Holloway, who just lost to Topuria. Poirier, who is retiring in his next fight. Hooker, who, let's be honest, they're not going to make anyone below the top 5 into a title contender again. Not after Renato Moicano. I can smell a Makhachev versus Gaethje coming up. Like, I can fucking feel it in my bones. They're going to book Makhachev versus Gaethje, and they're going to make Topuria versus Oliveira. And Arman's just going to sit there. Although I do have this funny, odd feeling we could see an Arman versus Hooker and an Arman versus Pimblett, which would be pretty good matchups, but I don't know, man. Just number 3 Gaethje off a win off Fiziev, coming off that fucking huge knockout loss against Holloway for the BMF belt. He doesn't deserve a title shot. right? Arguably, if you exclude Arman Tsarukyan, the only person who does deserve a title shot is Oliveira, because he had that close fight with Tsarukyan. He beat Benil Dariush, and then he recently beat Michael Chandler and looked better than ever while doing it. But then you've got Topuria in the wings, you know. And all these guys need to be getting matched up. I mean, Arman's injury did not seem all that severe. Yes, he pulled out of a fight, but it was against Islam Makhachev. Right? In my opinion, if I was about to match make the division, right? Arman Tsarukyan and Charles Oliveira too, right? That'd be the first thing I'd do. Right? That's your number one contender bout. But then you have the wild card. Topuria is a wild card. It stuffs up any attempt at matchmaking in the division. I don't know. I mean, if the UFC's trying to consider Gaethje as, you know, that big, tough, you know, that number one contender guy, the guy who's going to fight for the belt next, which is, I just feel it. It's in my bones. But honestly, I would love to see a Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria. Like, that's a big fight. The two hardest hitters in the division, you know, obviously Topuria has that one punch finish ability, and Gaethje has that wild, reckless, not so reckless anymore, but, you know, brawler style to him with that power, you know. He throws everything into his punches. It'd be a great test for Topuria. In the striking, I'm not too sure about the wrestling. Gaethje is... I mean, Gaethje's base is wrestling, but I don't think he does well against a guy like Topuria. And especially a healthy, fully bulked up to 155 Topuria. I mean, you see what happens when, you know, Max Holloway, for an example. You know, he fought Poirier for the interim lightweight belt when he was a featherweight champion, right? He was underweight, he didn't properly bulk up, but when he came up to lightweight against Gaethje, he filled his frame, he was a true 155er, and he put it on him. And I want to see Gaethje versus, because, I mean, that projects Topuria, depending on his performance, that will put him in that title contention. Straight in that title shot. Without having to sacrifice a Charles Oliveira. This is mainly for my boy Charles, because I don't know, Charles is pretty chinny, and I could see him getting absolutely flatlined by Topuria, which would be insane legacy-wise. Back-to-back-to-back wins. You've got... If he were to beat Oliveira, it would be... beat Volkanovski for the featherweight belt, defended the featherweight belt against Max Holloway, and then beat Charles Oliveira. Those 3 wins alone are career-defining. But I still think Tsarukyan and Oliveira too. The first fight was close. Make the second fight 5 rounds. You do Gaethje versus Topuria. Holloway versus Poirier for the final retirement fight of Dustin. Well, that would be the trilogy. Right? And then fucking... I don't know what you do with Dan Hooker. Don't get me started on Dan Hooker. Right? Great fighter. Immense worker. But that Gamrot fight, man, was really close, and then they propel him into a fight with Gaethje straight after. I don't know. Maybe you could see a Hooker versus Fiziev, because, I mean, Fiziev is just that guy that could probably, you know, beat Hooker and come into that number 6 rank. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and talk about the lightweight division. There's a lot of problems with it at the moment. Makhachev, I think Makhachev definitely needs to take the fight against Topuria, because that is a massive super fight that will do incredible numbers and draw incredible pay-per-view revenue. They're going to charge us fucking $60 for it, cunts. But that'll be $60 I'll be paying, you know. Like, another thing, the UFC has a big problem with people illegally streaming their cards, their pay-per-view cards. But at the end of the day, if you guys didn't charge $60 per pay-per-view, even when it's a UFC 312 type pay-per-view, but that's a situation for another day, alright? Islam, I'm not gonna call Islam a duck. I've seen a lot of people calling him a duck. I can understand his point of view. He does not want to fight these featherweight guys anymore. And that's fair enough. And he's done enough in the lightweight division to warrant a shot up in the next division. Broke the record for defenses. Yes, I know it was against the dude on 1 day's notice. But Moicano is still a dangerous dude. You know. You go fight him on a day's notice. Anyways, that's all I had to say. See you.